Hello, everyone, and welcome back to.
Progressive Heli Learning. What are we doing today, Shane?
We are going to do flips and rolls today.
Oh, yeah. Reminds me of a song. Rolling, rolling, rolling. No?
Flips and rolls.
Yes. Rolling. I have all sorts of ideas.
You do?
Is the video rolling?
It is rolling.
All right.
Are you
We're
rolling?
rolling. I'm flipping. Oh, wait a second. I'll roll. Roll, roll, roll. Neutral, roll. Woo. See, I'm rolling. Now I'm flipping.
Nice.
Flipping out. So what are we going to focus on today? What type of things are we worried about from a flip and a roll? You know?
Good question. Good question. Uh, well, I mean, if I guess if we were to do this, we should probably refer to some of our current practice sessions, right? Like we're kind of like working on practicing flips and rolls and in real life
Yes.
from a precision standpoint. So it's not just being able to just go inverted, get back upright kind of a thing. It's more of trying to maintain altitude, maintaining try to stay in the same spot for the most part. Try to make sure that the speed of the flip or roll remains consistent from positive to negative, or from upright to inverted, from and then back. So there's a couple
So we're not
elements there.
just so we're just not pegging the stick one direction, closing our eyes and screaming and
Yeah,
hoping
pretty
it
much.
comes out level.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you want to do them, or you want me to do them? Why don't you do
I'll
it?
jump up. I'll jump up.
Yeah. Why don't you do
So
it?
I'll do a reverse, basically an elevator flip, backwards
So
flip,
so okay.
elevator.
So a couple of things about flips, obviously. So a flip is what you would apply in a helicopter on the elevator axis, right? Forward and back.
Yep.
A roll would be left and right, or in or out, right? So
Right.
just so we get that out the way.
So
And
we're gonna do
and
an
and
elevator flip.
you're gonna do a flip, which means you're gonna either pull back if you're gonna do a back flip, push forward if you're gonna do a forward flip. And
Yep.
as you're making this transition, you want to be as close to mid stick as possible, and then only apply collective when you change your orientation from upright to inverted. So
Right.
Greg's gonna do a flip, and he's gonna show what that looks like, and try to keep it in one spot, and try to keep it consistent and clean. So go
So
ahead and
we're
do a
going
flip.
to start off in a stable hover. Stable hover. It's supposedly not drifting anywhere, and then we're going to get negative, hold a little negative, and finish the roll. So
Flip.
we did a pause
Flip.
there, a
Not a
flip,
roll.
sorry,
Flip.
flip. So I did a slight little pause there just for the group, but we're going to go through a continuous now. Steady and climb. I need to get more negative.
Yeah. So
when
Greg,
I
do me
get
a
inverted.
favor. Do me a favor. Just when you do your flip, just try to just keep your flip in one spot. Try not to do it too fast. Just slow down. Hold the helicopter in one spot. Now, there you go. So now you got a nice flip going. And it's also good to pause in the middle, maybe just hover for a second in the middle if you haven't done these, just to get used to the stick movements of a flip. I'm sure you can watch Greg's stick movements and you can see what he's doing there. But basically, you want to try to slow this down initially. It's very tempting to just blow through it and just try to get through it because you're nervous. But realistically, you want to take your time through it and just kind of get a feel for the heli, and try not to be too aggressive. Just try to be graceful with it, and make sure you're up high enough to where you can bail out, right? Because by now, you should be able to hover side in. We've already gone through those, and obviously you can do this flip tail in, and you can also do the flip nose in. So as long as you're accustomed in your orientations, which you should be, flips should be relatively simple. So um, so now you're doing a flip where well, he was going forward. So just do a forward flip, Greg. One forward flip, stop. Okay, now
Okay,
do
so
one
I'll
back
go ahead
flip
and
for me.
one back.
One back flip, and then stop. Okay, so now rotate till your tail in. Okay, hover.
Get back in the middle
Now
of the
do a
screen.
forward flip for me. Okay. Hover. Now do a back flip. There you go, guys. So there's your flips. Okay. And one thing you want to keep in mind, just try not to be aggressive at all on the sticks as you're doing this. It will throw the heli all over the place. Just try to be as smooth as you can. So now we're going to do some rolls. Okay, so same principle applies here. You do a roll, you can do a side in, you can do a tail in, you can do a nose in. Start wherever you're most comfortable. And executing a roll requires aileron and obviously collective as you transition from upright to inverted. And same principle here applies where you want to be mid-stick as you're executing, you're halfway through it so that you're not throwing the heli one way or the other. If you were to apply positive pitch, if you were in the middle of a roll, it would pull the heli in whatever direction you're rolling. So if you see that happening, it's probably because you're not getting mid-stick. So Greg, why don't you just have, just hold the positive a little late during the first
Okay.
half, and you see how the heli will positive on the positive side. So hover, initiate the roll. So see, you held the positive way too long, and it kind of made a loop.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is a really good practice about finding neutral, because if you don't find neutral, you will watch that helicopter walk. So it's great about learning how to find that mid stick.
Right. And if you're having trouble with it, it's probably because you're not comfortable in the orientation. So you may want to revisit your hover orientation, whichever way you're trying. Especially if it's side in, because that could be a little disorienting if you haven't practiced it well enough. So, Greg, why don't you go ahead and try and do that from the nose right position. So same principle. You're gonna do your roll. Yep, to the right, and not to the left.
Now, Shane, something else that you and I discovered out in the field is, and it's primarily deals with right aileron. When I started doing my right aileron rolls, I had a hard time coupling. See how everybody could watch my sticks.
Well, right aileron facing which direction? Because
Well, it didn't matter. Any right aileron effort. A right aileron effort meant I had to bring the aileron to my hand, and if I'm flying pinch, the problem I had was I collapsed my my index finger back to follow the stick. It doesn't collapse in a straight line, so I was inducing elevator. So we had to work on getting that index finger off the stick, so I didn't couple elevator. Remember that?
I do remember
So
that. And that
if a
is
person is
yeah, and that's a good point for sure. The other thing to add to that would be if you're really good at making corrections, if you're for some reason like not completely parallel, and as you induce a roll or flip or whatever, but if you're not straight, you may see the heli off at an angle, and you may actually want to correct, like your brain will probably automatically get your fingers involved trying to correct that thing like in the middle of the roll or the flip. So it's important to make sure you're set up properly for it. Don't be flying at like 100 miles an hour and then just trying to stop and then just doing a roll. I mean, unless you're really comfortable, you could do that, but you take your time, get into a stable hover, get comfortable, and think about what you're gonna do, and then have a plan for bailout. Make sure you stay high up, not too high, but high enough. A couple of mistakes high, and work on your rolls and try to stay in one spot. If you've got a nice big field, don't use the whole field for this. If you've got cones, go put some cones out or something. If you've got visual markers on the horizon somewhere that you could look, trees in the background, whatever. Use something as a reference point to try to keep yourself within a relatively safe distance, and that's probably the advice that I would give on trying to practice this out on the field. On the sim, same thing. Granted, it doesn't have to. You don't have to be as strict, but same principle applies. And if the heli is way out there, you can't see it. So
well, the other thing that we did, Shane, one of the things you and I always talk about on these maneuvers is how do you break them down? And one of the things you had me doing, which really helped, was taking, like for instance, when I very first started doing rolls, it was get inverted, set inverted, and then finish it. And then as you get better at it, that inverted moment can last less and less, to where pretty soon it doesn't feel like you're even there very long. But establish that inverted hover, and then finish the roll. That was one thing that you and I did early on when I started doing flips and rolls, was to
That's right. That's
get to
right.
that inverted moment and wait. And I'm
Yep.
going to run out of fuel here, so let me reset the fuel tank. But that's something that you and I did early on that helped out a lot.
Yeah.
And we've got some video of this in real life, don't we?
Yeah, let's go take a look at that, and then we'll come back.
All right, we are here at the field, and we're going to work on some flips and rolls. So we've got Greg in the air, and he is currently going to show us how we do a roll and how we do a flip.
So we're going to go halfway, pause, adjust. Establish a stable hover.
So on the first half of that flip, there was just a little bit too much of collective, and that's what caused the helicopter to pull away. So what you're looking for is, you really want to try to be at mid-stick when you initiate the roll, because you already have transitional lift, so you don't really need to rely that much on collective to maintain elevation of the helicopter through the initial half. So you want to stay mid-stick, roll and roll. And then when you get comfortable, you can do them faster and combine the two and make it seem almost imperceptible that there's any pause in the middle. But right now we're just doing that pause just to kind of help Greg with his orientation, inverted sideways. The challenge is your eye sees when the helicopter isn't perfectly parallel, so it's kind of wanting to make corrections during the roll. So by pausing in the middle and trying to come to a stable hover will help you get faster at making those corrections to keep the helicopter pretty much level and parallel to complete the flip. Or the roll, sorry. So Greg, why don't you bring it closer just a little bit, stable hover, and then as you initiate the roll, don't peg the aileron, and try to stay as close to mid-stick as possible. See, that was a little better.
So I'm still a little too much on my positive because I'm pulling it away from me.
Right.
So I need to get a little more neutral faster.
There you go. All right, so you got the first half.
Yeah,
You got
then,
excited.
Then I saw it coming toward me and I reacted.
All right, how about a
And
back
there's the
flip?
ducks that just went over our head.
How about a back flip? Okay, and then a forward flip. And the principle is the same. You want to be at mid-stick when you initiate the flip, because you don't want collective pulling you or pushing you in either direction. So you may be tempted to just, jab the elevator if you're doing a flip, or the aileron if you're doing a roll. But really try and slow them down and kind of get a feel for the helicopter and transition between mid-stick positive, mid-stick negative. Just kind of get accustomed with that, and that'll really help your flips and rolls.
Whew, that was hot out there. Starting to get warm here in Arizona.
Yeah, but hey, those are some really cool flips and really cool rolls.
We're definitely getting there, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, cool. So, while we were out at the field, we were talking about, trying to focus on using flips and rolls and maneuvers. Like right now, I'm just kind of climbing, making like a little mini loop. Really cool maneuver to practice for, collective management. I mean, it's fun stuff, right? I mean, utilize the same elements and aspects of a flip, but make it into something completely different. And I guess that's something what we'll transition to maybe in another episode and do a little bit more of that stuff. But and same thing for your rolls. You can kind of transition your roll, from loops to roll to a loop. You can do stuff like that. I mean, stuff like that I think is really cool. Like, you don't see a lot of stuff like that in flying in real life. So just a few ideas we had out at the field, and we were just talking about it. Figured I'd show you guys real quick.
Yeah. So once you've mastered your flips and your rolls, you can incorporate it into your forward flight and your other maneuvers.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we're gonna go practice now, right?
All right. Hey, remember, everybody,
Always keep progressing.